What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So we're talking about fresh fragrances that excel in the cold weather. I got 10 of them that I picked out that, now these aren't super crazy summertime airy fresh, but they're more fresh than anything else. They're very fresh fragrances at their core, have some different elements to them, maybe make them a little bit denser to where these are fresh fragrances that will excel in the cold. Now that we've got that established, let's just go ahead and jump right into the 10 that I have to discuss with you. Stay tuned. Starting with what I believe to be the best of its line. We're talking about the YSL Y line. This is Y Le Parfum. So Y Le Parfum does not lose any of that freshness that I really find in the Eau de Toilette. You still have the aldehydes, you still have the sweetness of the apple from the Eau de Parfum. You get a little bit of this like fizzy grapefruit smell to it. It's fresh and spicy. It's got this ginger fresh spice to it. It's bright and aromatic. Still has that clean, musky smell to it from the original. And it is a little bit heavy. It's a little bit thicker. It's a higher oil concentration, but it kind of falls in between the freshness of the EDT and the EDP while being richer overall and not as sweet and cloying as the EDP. I know that was kind of all over the place, but just to give you an idea for those of you that are familiar with the others in the line, I think this is the best one easily. It is so good. It is so good. It's very fresh, but not so fresh that it doesn't have density and staying power, some oomph to the aroma, if you will. That's what I think makes this so good. Yeah, you could get away with wearing this one year round, but you can also wear the EDP in the summer, and I think that's too sweet and cloying to wear in the summer. So I think this is better, one of the better options for the cooler weather as far as this particular scent DNA, because it has a lot more freshness than sweetness overall, because some people don't care for the heavy sweetness of the EDP, though I do enjoy it. I do think this is better, hence the reason we're talking about this one. So one of the better fresh fragrances I think that just does really well in cooler weather would be Yves Saint Laurent's Y Le Parfum. Next is a little sweet bubblegum aquatic action with some spice. We are talking about the hype beast known as Rasasi Hawas. Monster performer, smells very much like original Invictus. Some people would say Invictus Aqua 2016, tomato, whatever. Smells of that family with some added spice. Great performer for me. I don't play the batch code reformulation stuff. Yeah, there's variations, but it is what it is. This is an absolute, like, 4 sprays is making a statement kind of monster on me. Oh, and slices through the cold like a hot butter knife through butter. That's how well this one does. So if you want some freshness, a little bit of sweetness, some spice, like I said, there's a good scent profile character. There's a high character type of stuff. For being on the more chemically synthetic side, it doesn't smell like some expensive niche fragrance or private line designer, don't get me wrong, but it is good stuff. For the money, it's pretty hard to beat. It's got that type of performance that most people are seeking out, where others are going to smell you. You got a really good chance at a compliment. But if you like fresh for the cold, this is one of the better options out there, I think, if you want something that's on the fresher side for the cold. It's Rasasi Hawas. Let's bring those summer tropical vacation beach vibes into the cooler weather, shall we? With Jean-Paul Gaultier's Beau Le Parfum. Pineapple coconut, tropical sweet and fruity. Then you have some sweet powdery tonka bean, a little bit of soapy florals, fresh greens, and power. This has power to slice through the cold. You'll notice that a common denominator with these is just the right amount of sweetness while having a balance of some freshness. Sometimes it's more on the fruity sweet side, because this is more fresh, fruity, and sweet in the top than just like watery and airy fresh, if you will. So the tonka bean, the juiciness of the pineapple really blend well with this one. I think this is the best designer fragrance released in the year 2022. I think for those of you that like to take summer vacation with you year round, this is one of those fragrances that can transport you there. It has that olfactive profile to really get the job done and the performance you would want to slice through the cold, because that's very important. If you're going to go with the fresher stuff, you need something that's got a little bit of oomph and some density to it. And Beau Le Parfum absolutely does that, and I think it's a great option. One of the better fresh options from Parfums de Marly. This is hyper versatile, offers some minty, citrusy freshness, a little bit of ambroxan, while still having some fougerish-like elements to the scent profile. This is Sedley from Parfums de Marly. This is a great fragrance for somebody that wants a fresh top note that's an overall airy fragrance for the most part that they can get some joy and good performance and a great wearing experience out of in cooler climates, cooler temperatures, and seasons. This is great for that. Obviously, you could have I could have went the route of talking about Percival here, or hell, even Greenleaf, really, but Percival more so because it's stronger. But I feel like this is the ideal choice from the house if we're going to talk about a fresh fragrance that I think would excel the best in the cooler weather. Because you don't want something that's going to fade and fall apart within 2 or 3 hours because it just can't handle the cooler to cold weather. This has enough going on that it's a little much depending on how you spray in the summertime, though it totally works fine in the summer. But you can go a little heavier on the trigger to help get that extra oomph early on. I notice I keep going back to that oomph because the more you spray, you're just going to have a bigger scent cloud and heavier projection. You're not going to extend longevity by spraying more at the same time. You just have to refresh at a certain point depending on the performance you get, and this one's 8 to 10 hours on my skin. It's one that I think because of the ambroxan I tend to go nose blind to, and I've learned over time it's actually quite the great performer when I thought it was just an average performer when I first got it. But this was an obvious choice in my opinion. I think this is one of the first 2 or 3 fragrances I grabbed when deciding which fragrances best fit this topic. So it's absolutely worth checking out. It's one of the better fragrances Parfums de Marly's ever put out, Sedley. Now for those of you that aren't familiar with this fragrance, you're going to see the name and the color of the bottle and you're going to think, is that just some aquatic freshie? No, 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 my friend. This is much deeper than that. This is Mancera's Aqua Wood. One of the most versatile fragrances from the house. And yeah, it's got some aquatic elements. It has a woody nuance. It's not named incorrectly, but it's very fruity fresh. Pear. A lot of pear in the top. Ambery, fruity, without being super sweet. Watery and aquatic, and a little smoky. There's an incense to this one that makes it such a, I don't want to say unique, but definitely enjoyable, kind of out the norm type of versatile wearing experience. This is one that I think excels greatly in the cooler weather. Another one that is a little on the heavy side for what it is, for high heat, high humidity summers, but in the surrounding seasons, your transitional seasons like spring and fall, and absolutely in the winter weather, this is one that offers a lot of freshness with some depth, some richness, and some performance to excel in the cold weather. This is kind of a poster child for this. I might even put this one in the thumbnail because it's such a poster child for this topic. I haven't made the thumbnail yet, but if you haven't tried this one, guys, this has versatility, likability, and wearability on par with Sedley Boisé from the house. Some of you have heard me talk about this before. I think this is up there, and in some ways is better than Sedley Boisé. Depending on your climate and your taste, it very well can be a better choice for you than Sedley Boisé, because there's an argument for Sedley Boisé going right here, obviously. But I think this was the better choice. This is one I would strongly encourage people to get their nose on if you're looking for something on the fresher side of things for the cooler weather, something you can really kind of dig into as a year-round fragrance, if you will, that offers a lot for pretty much every season, but has that freshness that still manages to cut through the cold. And it's Mancera's Aqua Wood. A hype beast. It's been a hype beast in the past. You don't hear much about it anymore. But it's still a good fragrance. It's Mont Explorer. Mont Blanc is a Ventus. That's how you can look at it. A lot of bergamot here. And you have this fruitiness, Akigali wood, leathery type of facet to it. A little bit of ambroxan. This is great year-round. This is another one that, sure, you can totally wear this in the summer, but I think it excels more in the transitional seasons and if you want something fresh in the cooler weather. This kind of goes right up there with a lot of the things that I had to say about Aqua Wood in the previous segment of this topic. This, while not being the same scent profile, has a lot of the same ideology on why I feature it here and why I think it's such a great option for this. There's some citrus freshness. It does have some heavier, darker elements to it that kind of ground it and give it a rich character that can be pretty enjoyable for a lot of people while being very versatile, easy to wear, and having a pretty high compliment factor, because I know that's important to a lot of people. So this is absolutely one that I think is a great pick for this, and if you've never gotten around to trying it, maybe it's that time to try it. This is actually one of my wife's personal favorites in this, ridiculous collection of fragrances I have in the backdrop. This is one of her absolute favorites, and I think it's a great option for somebody that wants fresher elements to a fragrance with some body to cut through the cold. Mont Explorer. We're back to taking beach vacation to the winter time. So centered around guava, very tropical fruity fragrance. It is one of City Rhythm's newest releases. It is St. John's from the U.S. Virgin Islands. St. John is one of the better indie niche releases of the year. So there's a lot going on here with tropical fruits and freshness, a little bit of spice and musk, but not a heavily sweet fragrance outside of being fruity sweet, but a vibe. This is one of those fragrances that's absolutely a vibe that you can relive your summer vacation in the cooler weather with this scent profile, because it really is a captivating scent. There's such a nice fruitiness to it. I want to say it's like passion fruit or something like that goes with the guava. I believe pineapple's in here if I remember correctly. I know we have some coconut in here also. Just this medley of the tropics, aromas of the tropics, basically. I mean, the Virgin Islands, for God's sakes, which I've never been there, but based on the views I've seen and the pictures and videos and things I've heard, I'm sure this really embodies that scent profile. And knowing the way Niles does fragrances, I'm sure he really captured it, because I can say firsthand he captured New Orleans with his fragrance, New Orleans Jazz and Booze. So he's really good at this when it comes to capturing the essence of these places. So if you want to feel like you're on a Virgin Islands vacation, basically, you can spray this one in the cooler weather. It's going to knife through it. It is a 50% oil concentration with ridiculous performance. It's definitely a great freshie for the winter. St. John, U.S. Virgin Islands, from City Rhythm Fragrance. I know. When you see this, you're going to say, but bro, this is great year-round. It is. This is signature scent-worthy stuff. But year-round includes the cooler weather, because there's depth, there's dark elements, and a lot of freshness. You see the recurring theme with the ideology of what fits this topic. Versace Dylan Blue absolutely fits this topic very well. There's another one that might make the thumbnail, because it's such a great choice for the topic. You will go nose blind to this one. If you don't, lucky you for having such a desensitized nose that doesn't wear out so quickly to synthetic aromas. Because this one I can't smell after a little bit, but I've gotten compliments 7, 8, 9 hours into wearing without refreshing, with a moderate spray routine of 5 or 6 sprays. I definitely go nose blind to this one. And this is one I did not like at first, that I have a profound love and respect for. This is a great fragrance. One of the best blues that has ever been made. It's a compliment magnet. It draws people in. And like I said, it's got that depth and that full-bodied, darker element scent profile with the bright shower gel-like citrus-heavy freshness at the top that really makes this shine in the cooler weather. If you want that one fragrance, and it's definitely got the performance. This is an easy 8 to 10 hour longevity fragrance with pretty hefty projection and sillage for the entirety of the life of the fragrance on skin. It really manages to aerate very well just coming off of the skin. This is one people will absolutely smell you. Even if you don't smell you, I can assure you, people around you can definitely smell you. A great fresh option for the cooler weather is Versace Dylan Blue. We're getting back to the summer vibes here, guys. This is another one. Tropical, fruity elements, vibrance from some cardamom. Gives this pop of spice at the top, some wood, some musk, some sweetness from a little bit of vanilla. This is very much a summertime vibe. Think Rio de Janeiro and Brazil. This is Zaharoff. Signature Coco Loco. Such a fun release from this past summer. My favorite Zaharoff release of the year. This is such a great choice for this. You don't have to just wear this in the summer, because for some people it might be a little much, because it is a thick, denser tropical fragrance. It really is kind of how this is a thicker, sweeter, and denser tropical fragrance with Le Beau Parfum. Obviously, this isn't on the sweetness level of that, but you have a variety of fruits like this red currant in the top. You have pineapple, you have coconut flesh. There's a few different things going on here with this cardamom note that you absolutely, like when I was gathering these, I sprayed this one on my arm because it's so good. Blonde cedar, you get a nice muskiness to it, like I said, with a bit of vanilla. There's a little bit of heliotrope here, provides a little bit of a floral hit. I don't get much of the florals to this one, but there is some florals in the heart of the fragrance. Just a lot going on here. It's a pretty deep, rich, slightly complex fragrance that screams Rio de Janeiro, Carnival, that whole vibe of that scene And you can bring that into the cooler weather, absolutely, because it performs really well. This stuff sticks to the skin like glue, and the more you heat up, the more it projects, and it's just the right amount of strength, I think, as far as coming off the skin for a fresher side of things. If you want something a little bit fresher for the cooler weather, I think this was a great option to maybe consider, especially for some of you that have this one, and you were thinking to yourself, oh, you know, I can't wait till spring or summer when it gets warm again to wear Coco Loco. Man, dust that bottle off, wear that damn thing in the cold, because it absolutely will excel in the cold, in my opinion. Again, that's Zaharoff Signature Coco Loco. Last but not least, the aldehydes really make this fresh and bright, while the saffron gives it this warm, spicy, metallic feel. It's kind of two sides to the coin type of thing. Bright, fresh, and aldehydic, metallic, warm, and spicy. You get Faces of Francis from Vilhelm Parfumerie, my favorite niche fragrance release of 2023. This is such a great fragrance. Creamy pistachio. You have a nice woody presence. Some cypriol oil offers a little bit of an earthy green facet. While still being, it's fresh yet metallic and warm, meets a creamy woodsy dry down. It's a strange fragrance. Every time I talk about this one, I talk about how strange it is, but it's such a refreshing thing for me because it's such a good strange. They did so good with this fragrance. This is one of my favorite releases of the year, not just niche. This is such a great fragrance. Fun for me as a fragrance enthusiast who's always looking for that original DNA that I've never come across before, that really speaks to me. And that is what Faces of Francis is. That's why I get so excited to talk about this one when it fits a certain topic. And it totally fits this topic because it's not super fresh. But for what you would typically wear in the winter, this is quite fresh. The aldehydes make it quite fresh versus the usual suspects people will talk about for the cold. This is one that I strongly encourage you to get a sample of and try. It is not going to be for everyone because it is a heavy presence of this cold steel smell, the way the saffron comes across, very metallic, mixing with aldehydes and grilled pistachio. It's an odd combination. Like I said, very strange, interesting fragrance that, I think is magnifique. What a great release. Definitely get your nose on this one if you want something way out of the box that is an incredible fragrance that provides some freshness, depth, strength, and power and uniqueness for the cooler weather. It's Faces of Francis, Vilhelm Parfumerie. Well, that's the 10 suggestions I have for you today. And until next time, do me a real quick favor. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, because I do appreciate all the feedback and I love hearing from you guys. Of these 10, what have you tried? Obviously, there's more than 10 that I could have recommended here. We could have did 15, 12, 20, 25, whatever. I wanted to get it down to the main 10. These are 10 that you won't necessarily hear everyone talk about. Some of these you may, some of these I'm pretty confident you will not, that deserve some spotlight. And with the given topic, they really fit what I feel is the perfect criteria to satisfy what's a fresher fragrance that excels in the cooler weather. Not necessarily ice cold, but those crisp 50-degree days, 50, 55-degree days, on down to just straight up bone-chilling, snowing cold. These will excel in all of those. Obviously, your olfactive perception and sensitivity of your nose, as well as your skin chemistry, are going to dictate a lot of this for you, but these are absolutely worth checking out, in my opinion, if you're looking for this sort of thing. And until next time, I will say if you get your hands on any of these 10 and you give them a spray now, you might end up thanking me later. Have a good one, guys.